Welcome to Fun with Annuities, where every single week I welcome a celebrity guest expert that can help you maximize Chapter 2 of your life. Listen, learn, laugh, and love every minute of the most unique financial podcast on the planet. Let's get to it. Welcome to Fun with Annuities. I'm your host, Stan, the Annuity Man, America's annuity agent, licensed in all 50 states. So glad that you joined us today because we have a special guest on the program, friend of the Annuity Man, known him for a very, very long time, and I'll explain his background in a little bit, but his name is Kerry Pechter. He is the author of a great book that you need to read, and there's a new version of it out on Amazon, and we'll have all of those links on a page set up for Kerry that's going to be on my site permanently. And that book is called Annuities for Dummies, which I love that. And, the first, I can't wait to hear about the second version because the first version was fantastic. So without further ado, welcome to Fun with Annuities podcast, Kerry Pechter.
Hello, Stan. Yes, we have been friends for a long time now. We are kindred spirits in the retirement financing world.
We're factual curmudgeons. We were kind of talking about that before we went on air, that, the industry has changed a lot, and we'll get to that. But I really want to focus on the book because, again, it's Annuities for Dummies. If you forget that title, then I guess, the second part of that title applies. But it is a great, great book. Kerry, I know the first one was a home run, and I recommended it as one of my recommended reading lists. I mean, you and Moshe and those people. I know you're saying you recommended the book beside Moshe. Yes, Moshe Milevsky. I did. But what motivated you to do version 2 of Annuities for Dummies?
Well, version 1 was in 2008, and that was a completely different world in terms of annuities.
No doubt.
The products that are available, everything has changed. The regulations have changed, and I needed to update that and reflect that, and also significantly the low interest rate period had ended, which that policy by the Fed had sort of stepped on the air hose of the annuity industry, including especially the income annuity business. And so we were now in new territory, and I felt that it was time for a new book. So it was a combination. There are things that are still that I have in common with the old book, and then there are also all the new things having to do with the new products and new procedures. I have to emphasize that in both cases, I tried to say this on the cover. The title has to be Annuities for Dummies, but if I had a dream title for the book or subtitle, it would be Retirement Income Planning with Annuities, because the book doesn't treat annuities as something that just is unrelated to the annuities are in the context of personal retirement income planning.
Sure, absolutely. And Kerry's background is extensive, but the way that I met him, and he's recently retired from being the editor, founder, publisher of Retirement Income Journal, which the Retirement Income Journal was an industry standard for the annuity space. And we miss that weekly newsletter for sure. But I'm glad that you've kind of moved on to Chapter 2 of your life, but you still have your pulse on, and you're still very adept of looking at trends and looking at the underlying issues, good and bad, with the annuity space. Some of the new products and new players into the space, Kerry, did you include that in the book? I know you covered a lot of the newer products. Can you kind of jump into that a little bit?
Well, I evaluate this. The book is also I think it's the only book that dives into exactly how certain annuities work, and these are the best-selling annuities, the index-linked annuities, and the explanations of them have never satisfied me, and I wanted people to know on a granular level and exactly how the products function and how their money, their investment is used to how their gains are procured in the marketplace. It's a completely different from what you and I used to think of as annuities, where you had
Agreed.
guarantees against outliving your money. These products they don't have a lot to do with.
And those are specific types. I always tell people, there's lifetime income products, there's principal protection products, there's legacy products, there's long-term care products. The index annuity space, or index space, and the annuity side, I've obviously written books and done, hundreds of videos on that, trying to dumb it down, trying to be able to explain it to a 9-year-old, as I always say, no offense to 9-year-olds. So you really went into how the sausage is made, correct?
Yes, as far as I could go. The insurance companies don't really like to talk about it. It was surprisingly, and then later not so surprisingly, difficult to find out how it exactly it's
Let's
done.
stay there for a second, because that's a very interesting comment. And this is one of the issues I think the annuity industry has to solve, is transparency across the board.
Mhm.
Why weren't they as transparent as you needed them initially? Do you have an idea
You
about
want,
that?
I mean, to speculate why they didn't want to talk
Yeah,
about it?
absolutely.
Well, the most on a superficial level, on the primary level, I can't go to an insurance company, investment manager or actuary, and have them talk to me directly. They're just not. They're not allowed to talk to outsiders. I mean, that's just the nature of the corporate beast. At the same time, annuities have insurance has always been known as a black box that no company wants to give away the secret sauce of how it manages its risks and your risks and your money and exactly where the pennies fall. So and finally, they simply didn't want, simply the truth of it, I believed, conflicted with the story that they were that these products were accompanied with during the sales.
I also think that one of the issues the industry has to deal with, don't know if they ever will, is the fact that the agents and advisors selling a lot of these index-linked products could not explain them in detail if you had held a loaded gun to their head, which means that why are they selling them? And we all know why. These index products typically are the highest commission paying products as well, which
Right.
dovetails into probably the issue and the problem. I've already said, if you could just make all annuity types all the same commission, it'd solve a lot of problems, because it would be, the agendas would not be as prevalent as they are, where you'll find a lot of the agents just sell index annuities. And me and you both know that from an appropriateness and suitability standpoint, that's insane. That's like a doctor prescribing one medicine to everyone. But it's unfortunately a one size fits all. I don't blame the carriers as much as I do the selling agents that are out there pushing the limits of the truth on these products. What's your take?
Well, it's the selling agent. We're talking about I am getting into the distribution is very complicated,
It
but
is.
there's, when you talk about, there's two images you can have of the selling agent. The selling agent might be, your hometown professional who's been there for 20 years
Right.
or longer, who's looking out for you and handles all your insurance
Mm-hmm.
and sees all this in terms of a holistic taking, you have a
Sure.
larger budget. Okay, but then you have it developed in the industry this kind of vertical integration of the designer of the annuity, the quote manufacturer, which people know as the life insurance company, the insurance marketing organization, and then their ever changing force of insurance agents who are independent insurance agents, a lot of whom might, and so that's a person who's like a person who simply is trying to make the most money that they can selling insurance products. They're not fixed with a audience. So that's more, I'm more, so the original kind of, the old fashioned kind of insurance agency, agent and insurance agency, the independent agency,
Sure.
is very different from the IMO pyramid kind of thing, because you've got the IMO taking a cut, and then you have the designer of the annuity taking a cut, and the insurance company has its overhead.
And for the listeners and viewers, IMO is Independent Marketing Organization, which distributes a lot of the annuities, and the agents have to contract through that independent marketing organization, or sometimes called a field marketing organization. And there's just a lot of cuts along the way. I don't want to get caught in the distribution. I appreciate you going down the rabbit hole, but let's pivot and talk about your M as in Mary, T, nesters.
Okay, so I wanted to, yes, the empty nesters. This is a retired couple, and who is the star of my case histories in the book. And the case histories were first published in Retirement Income Journal, and and what I did was I found people on the verge of retirement with certain, and I interviewed them about their financial characteristics, and then I put out their specifics to a variety of planners and insurance agents, and usually dually licensed, what I call ambidextrous advisors, who can put a balance of insurance and investment products out there. And I asked them, it became kind of a challenge them to give me a first pass of a plan. They can only give a first stage plan, because plans are, they're put out there, and I'm talking about a retirement income plan. So then I would have like various people, and I publish what they had recommended for the MT nesters, and generally the people I sent, the advisors I sent the case histories to, or the client details to, they came up with a balanced view of leveraging integrating Social Security with pensions, home equity, part-time income, whatever the folks were doing, they would create a balanced plan, and then I would publish those solutions in the website, and several of those solutions, half dozen of those solutions, are in the book.
Got it. Now, people that are familiar with me, I've written owner's manuals on all types of annuities. The Annuity Stanifesto, a long time ago, we're actually considering redoing the Stanifesto. But all of those books you can get for free, going to my website at theannuityman.com. But if a person is going to buy an annuity book, and I would recommend Annuities for Dummies, because it's a primer, it's a foundational book, but it's a lot more than that. What would be your argument for, of all the annuity books out there that, in my opinion, most are agenda driven, this one is not, other than to educate? Are there other reasons for people to pick this book up from Amazon? Obviously we're going to have that link. Is it the primer that people need?
It is. There were, the first book got 275 independent reviews on Amazon, and a 4.3 out of 5 rating, and which I think is pretty good, because you get the haters, you get the annuity haters. Yeah, absolutely. So and a lot of people said that this was the first time that they had understood how annuities work and how the annuity market works. And the reason for that is that I believe that did not happen by accident. I worked at Vanguard in the Retirement Resource Center for 9 years, and my job there, a big part of my job, was explaining through articles on the web and in pamphlets for our investors. This was when Vanguard
sold annuities, back in the day.
Not their own annuities, but white label.
Sure.
So and I literally spent 9 years trying to hone communication of annuities. And one thing that I learned was that people were very confused about annuities, because the annuities, the topic was being organized in the wrong way. There were, like, if I were to structure the book in the old fashioned way, it would say, you know, this is about annuities, and we are going to, first we're going to look at fixed annuities, then we're going to look at variable annuities, then we're going to look at immediate annuities, and then we're going to look at deferred annuities. And I learned a long time ago that this was a path to hopeless confusion.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just almost I was looking for a pen to stab myself, because that is the way a lot of the uninformed so-called experts try to go about it, and it doesn't work at all. In fact, that
No,
sounds eerily similar to how Dave Ramsey, no offense to Dave, tries to explain annuities. But, you know, when people say the word annuities, I think the biggest problem I run into, and you probably do too, annuities equals restaurants, equals shoes, equals vehicles.
exactly.
You can't, you know, as John Olson said, and we both know John Olson, a very valued member of the annuity hierarchy, says anytime you use the sentence "annuities are" and then ... whatever follows after that is typically false, because you can't broadly categorize, broad brush it. But most people, except for the people say, I hate all annuities are all bad. I mean, that's dumb. But, you know, when people say annuities are all expensive, or annuities are all, you know, for income, none of that's true. And I think what I like about your book is with each page you turn, you realize there's a lot more than you thought to the annuity industry, and you need to understand the products to make sure that it's suitable for what you're trying to do. So when you broke it down, how did you break it down?
Well, then I explained at the beginning of the book that annuities is a bunch of products that have as much, that are as unalike as they are alike, and that each one is a tool for particular kinds of people at particular kinds of life, for different kinds of risk management. And so, and then
Bingo.
what I do
Good
is
stuff.
simply take each type of annuity, and once you start listing them, you end up with almost a dozen.
Yep.
I take each one of them in turn and treat them separately. Now, certain things are grouped, like a deferred income annuity and a QLAC, qualified longevity annuity.
One and the same.
They're in the same
Mm-hmm.
chapter. But fixed rate annuities and fixed indexed annuities are not in the same chapter.
No, they're not, even though they're both CD type products and put on the planet for CD type returns, are a little bit better than that. And that's where, you know, my baseball caps start flying off the top of my head, is when they are really pitched as market products. I mean, you both know they're not securities, and they should never be pitched as that. And we've gone through some things in the industry where, you know, there was a time a long time ago that people were trying to get them as market products, and that didn't go through because they're not securities. Did you cover that on the index side?
Oh, I spent a lot of time on the index annuity. I've been studying them for many years. They've become much more sophisticated.
Yes, they have.
And I'm not a fan of them. And I'm impartial in the book, and so I explain, there's certain things I'm going to try. Let's deal with this quickly, because people can go into it in the book.
Yeah.
But on the investment side, there's a thing called structured notes. And the structured notes involves options and gives you a return that's sort of within boundaries. You know, it can't be too low, it can't be negative, or it can't be too negative. It's not going to be high, it's not going to be too high. It's supposed to be, and this is but you don't know exactly where in there you're going to get. And so the indexed annuity, you know, you mentioned that it's coming off the 10 years ago or 12 years ago, there was a controversy over whether it was an equity type product or a bond type product. And people have to remember, I'm going to throw this out there. It's decide whether you want to go into it. But this product its returns are correlated with the stock market. Okay, it's not allowed to be marketed as a stock market replacement.
But they're using an S&P 500 index or something like that, etc.
Yes, when stocks go up, you get more gains from them. If it's a stock alternative, it's a diluted stock alternative.
Correct. Because the dividends aren't included in those indices in a lot of cases.
Well, yeah, that, and also because the guarantee takes off the, and also the new volatility control mechanisms that are built in also take up. So your returns are always capped. That's why I call it a diluted investment. And if you think of them as a bond, then when stocks go down, if you have bonds, you get a buffer effect from the performance of the bonds.
I have a problem with the smart people in the room calling it, equating, and there's some smart people, I'm not going to mention their names, been on my podcast, that cavalierly say index annuities and bond can be used as a bond alternative. Incorrect. No. I managed bonds at Morgan Stanley at a very high level. Give me a break. Anybody who says that, and there's some smart people out there saying that, they need to stop, because it's not a bond alternative. If you want to even get close to it being a bond alternative, that's a MYGA. That's a fixed rate annuity, not an indexed annuity. The problem is the smart people are allegedly really smart are saying that, and people are buying them as bond alternatives, and they're not getting what they thought they were going to get.
No, it's not a bond alternative because it's correlated with the stock market, and it doesn't perform the diversifying effect that a bond or bond fund does. And so when you're looking for, one of the things you want to look for in an annuity is diversification of your risk. That's an important
you're transferring risk. That's all you're doing.
That's what insurance is all about. And now I don't want to define, most of the book is concerned with income products that help you develop retirement income. The book is not, we hate fixed income.
No, of course not. But we have to, when every bad chicken dinner seminar, expensive steak dinner seminar is about indexed annuities, and most people that go down the rabbit hole searching for annuities, they're going to be pitched an index annuity, whether it's appropriate or suitable or not. And it's this leading sales product out there. We have to dig in and let people know, when you buy the book, Annuities for Dummies by Kerry Pechter, he's going to do a deep dive into the indexed annuities, just like I do a deep dive into them on my videos and my indexed annuity owner's manual. Let's pivot a little bit, because this next topic is one that I just want to high five you every time I think about it, because you've done such a good job talking about it. And it's the Bermuda Triangle idea of private equity getting involved in annuity companies. I wrote an article a long time ago about in Market Watch that had a fictitious table that a bunch of private equity companies were sitting around smoking a cigar and drinking single malt scotch and deciding to get into the indexed annuity space. That article blew up, and the next day my site was taken down randomly, which is impossible to do because of the security I had at that point in time. But somebody took it down. I made somebody mad, and then my friend Kerry Pechter wrote an article a while back about the Bermuda Triangle of private equity getting into the space of annuities, which is a little concerning. Can you dig in a little bit about that? Because I love your work in this area.
Yeah, I've spent several years on this. I was a little slow in the beginning, around 2013, to pick up the significance of the private equity entry, but then it reached when all of the insurance companies, the publicly traded insurance companies, started to go towards this trend. I started to pay close attention to it. And what happened was, during after the financial crisis, when interest rates went down, the insurance companies were weak and they needed capital. And they needed either to grow their investments faster, or they needed outside infusions of capital because they had margin calls, in a sense, in the insurance world, and to do because of the stock market crash, and the low interest rates was kind of a double whammy on them. And so the private equity companies came in, as I understand it. First, they came in as like investment advisors, then they came in as partners, and then they came in as owners. And once they were owners, I started to pay very close attention to them. And there was a lot of copycat, and they bought more insurance companies. And it started out as life insurance companies hiring private equity firms for advice about their investments, to private equity companies owning insurance companies and using annuities as what they called permanent capital. And so, like,
and that's not how it was designed to be.
Well, I took
that's let's just stop. Let's stop and put the flag down for just a second. There's 11,000 baby boomers hitting age 65 every single day. In the marketing world, that's called a demographic tidal wave. And what these private equity companies are now, back then they started looking, and now they're all in. They want to get in front of that money. They want to get in front of that transfer of risk money that's going to the annuity companies. And what Kerry has done, and what, this is, I tell you what, you need to buy the book for a lot of reasons. This is one of them. But he, talking about the Bermuda Triangle, I really, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, I'm a big fan of. I think they try to do a really good job, but this is bigger than them.
It is bigger than them.
It's bigger than them
because it sprawls across states and across country borders.
Correct.
And that's actually what I think it's designed to do. But I don't think of this as a plot. I think of this as just business. There's been just tectonic moves in global finance and interest rates.
But is it business turning into a plot?
Well, yeah. Well, there's a couple layers here. First, the companies that are doing this are their first loyalty is to their shareholders.
Correct.
And it's not to their policyholders. That's a flag for me, because it means, if I'm buying insurance and the company is not on my side in every way and has no conflicts, there's always conflicts, but if I'm second fiddle to the shareholder, or third fiddle, first you have the management shareholder, then you have the common shareholder, then you have the policyholder. I don't want to be third in line if I'm buying a product.
Not for retirement.
No, not for retirement. I try not to use the word insane too much, because
explain why the country Bermuda is in front of Triangle. We're not talking about missing planes.
Oh, okay. Well, the private equity companies, which is, filled with very, very smart people.
Sure.
Figured out that once they took over once they owned the insurance company, they rationalized the industry, and they broke it down. Think of the old days as a big tower in New York City, with investment managers in there, and product developers and actuaries and all these people under one roof, and they're in there, and they all work for the big mutual company. Okay, well, now the private equity companies, they bought the companies, they could see that they could rationalize this industry by separating the functions. There would be a annuity sales operation, which would bring in ideally 10-year fixed indexed annuities. And that was they called that in their conversations with shareholders, where the real story comes out when they talk to Wall Street analysts on shareholder meetings 4 times a year, or twice a year, whenever they do it. They called that permanent capital. I said, wait,
no, it's not. It's
no, it is permanent capital.
I understand, but not in their definition.
Well, they said it's 10-year capital that's constantly refreshed in 10-year. They get to play with the fixed indexed money for 7 to 10 years. That is so much easier for them. That's stable capital, which they call permanent capital. And that's why they're selling indexed annuities, because of the long terms. So the longer the term, the more. See, I cover in my other life, the Retirement Income Journal, I cover the business of insurance.
Sure.
So we're off in that territory now, rather than the Annuities for Dummies, which is consumers finding out how to finance their retirement.
But it correlates.
Oh yeah. It's the same. It's two ends of the same story.
Absolutely. It rhymes, as they say. I will tell you a great story, Kerry. The other day I get a call, anonymous call, will not mention the person's name, from the Department of Labor, and they're looking into this. And my first comment to this nice gentleman that's working on it with a group at the Department of Labor, working on this kind of Bermuda Triangle idea, is, hey, you need to call Kerry Pechter. And they go, oh yeah, we know Kerry. It's like, okay, that's good. I feel better now, because but I will tell you, the consumer, and that's who's listening to this primarily or watching this, it's on the radar screen. I mean, it's on the radar screen at some higher levels in DC. I know for people that hate DC, that doesn't mean anything. But for me, at least they're trying, at least they're looking, at least they're trying to put some guardrails in place to keep these private equity groups in their lane. And notice Kerry and I don't mention company names or specific names. We're very, very careful about that. But we know who the players are, and I think that the DOL does as well. So it wouldn't surprise me coming down the pike that there will be some proposed legislation on the Hill, which will be interesting, because the insurance lobby is the biggest, baddest, strongest lobby on the Hill. It makes the NRA look like a bunch of pikers. And I always say the insurance lobby doesn't need guns. They have money. So we'll see how far it goes, but I think there's going to be some attempts to rein this in and protect the consumer. Do you agree with that?
Well, yes, and I do agree with that. There's that's going to be difficult, because the states regulate the insurance industry and annuities, and so there's a lot of pushback, including from the senators of the states where insurance is very important, like Iowa. So you're going to get but I didn't answer your question about why Bermuda is involved.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I digressed.
Digression is good. Digression is.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm so fascinated by the whole. Obviously, this is what I do, but yeah,
I was saying how the private equity company said, we can do this a smarter way. We'll sort of break up this monolith of an insurance company, and we'll farm out the sales to the insurance agents and the IMOs, and we'll bring all the investment expertise into our house on Wall Street, and we'll take the risk and we'll send it to Bermuda, and
send the money.
No, there's no money going to Bermuda.
What are they sending to Bermuda?
Well, when I wrote a story about it a couple of weeks ago, I had a picture on the cover of men carrying boxes labeled pension risk.
Nice.
And because it's a very hard project. So imagine it like this. It's not that complicated. Let's say, so you set up a company in Bermuda where the accounting rules are different and they're more favorable, though exactly in what way, at the rate that risk is piling in. So that you set up a company there that contracts with you, that a company that you own, that says that it runs a kind of a insurance in this sense, that if you have a money losing year on your annuities, we will cover the loss. If you have a excess of income, if you have a good year and you don't lose anything, in fact, you're making more money, we will share in the gain. And so all the money stays in the United States. It doesn't go anywhere. and the insurance company and the asset manager is buying this reinsurance from itself in Bermuda. For people who are listening, it took me years to understand this. So, but just keep in mind that they have an insurance company in the US state, they have an asset manager on Wall Street, and they have a risk management program in Bermuda, and then there's nobody who has a grip on all of this and where it's going and what it means. And the problem has gotten the most interest, though, not on the individual annuity side, but on the pension risk transfer. Annuity companies are buying pensions, and pensions are a hot button topic, and the safety of pensions. But my interest is more in the individual space, and I'm alarmed because I think that these products, the 10-year index products, are being sold specifically because they're low risk products, and they don't, it's money that doesn't, you can't have a run on this money. You can't have people pulling their money.
Yeah, there's no window. As I always say, there's a difference between bank runs, and there's no insurance window to run and get your money because there's surrender charges and things built in. Yeah.
So they're not selling these products because they think these products are better for you. And they're selling them because they are better fuel for the asset management Bermuda Triangle machine and produce higher profits. And you'll hear all this on the webcast to the shareholders. You're just not going to hear it from an insurance agent.
Well, the insurance agents probably don't know. I would say 1% of all insurance agents that sell or have the ability to sell indexed annuities even know what we're talking about. 1%, which is not good. Hey, got a question, hit me. So someone bought Annuities for Dummy first edition, and they're going to buy Annuities for Dummy second edition. What's going to be the head slap moment as they're reading it, expecting to be, eerily similar? And it is, because, annuity types are annuity types. But what is what's the pound of the table difference between version 1 and version 2?
There's the addition of the new products, the registered index linked annuities.
RILAs for everyone out there. Yes.
These are securities products that sell through broker dealers, whereas indexed annuities are fixed income products that sell through agents. That's a distinction. So I talk about RILAs, I talk about QLEX, I talk about the decline of the variable annuity with a guaranteed living benefit.
Correct.
I add the case histories, and also I go into, because I know much more than I did 15 years ago about distribution. I break down the process of buying an annuity. I go into each of the documents that you will see on the way towards purchasing an annuity. I go through understanding all the places that you might be introduced to an annuity and what you will hear and not hear from in that venue. Because it's not as if, so I break down the structure of the distributions, because I feel that people don't know that if you go to an insurance agent, you're not going to hear about RILAs. If you go to a broker dealer, you're not going to hear about indexed annuities. There's cross. Yeah,
there can be crossovers, but you're correct. Everyone kind of has their own little agenda about that. So what else with the new book? Because that's a lot. Trust me. You going into the distribution aspects of annuity sales and how that works, it should be included for Annuities for Dummies. Annuities for Dummies, on surface, people will say, well, he's just going to talk about the products. What I like about the second version is you go into the industry, and because it's important for the consumer to know, we're talking about your retirement. So you can't just cavalierly and blindly believe the sales pitch after you had a medium rare filet mignon at a steakhouse you'd never attend.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I know much more about all of this, and a lot has happened since 2008, obviously. So it's a completely different world. I would say there's even more emphasis, and you'll probably be glad to hear that, on income annuities.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because income annuities uh, uh, are longevity risk mitigation and
Yeah,
sequence risk mitigation.
sure.
And these are the risks that you have to be worried about in retirement. The other products that are they're what the the annuity company industry now calls them protected growth products.
Hmm.
They they use that instead of annuities. And in any and it's accurate, because the structured products, the indexed annuities, are protected growth. And I'm thinking, if you want protected growth, that's more, and this is, I'm betraying my Vanguard background, but that's more of a stock bond alternatives diversification
Totally
play.
agree.
If you
My
want,
comment is protected growth for who? The
well,
carrier or I understand, but I think what you've done here is a very is a service to the listeners and the viewers, is to kind of peel back the onion a little bit. Okay, this is why you need to get the book, because he goes into detail. By the way, there was a 15-year gap between the first one and the second one, and you could have written it sooner, obviously, because there's a lot happening. Do you envision this ongoing, because the annuity industry will continue to morph, change, and pivot? Do you see another one coming down the pike in 10 years?
very, very possibly.
Mm-hmm.
In part because, and this is another new section in the book, it's the section on annuities in 401ks.
Mm.
That
Which
that
is
was
a
not,
whole nother argument.
yes, that's a whole nother story. And depending on how large that phenomenon becomes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still, that's a whole nother discussion, but it's a whole nother book too, because people are going to, I have a great many thoughts on how people need to prepare themselves for the possibility that they're going to be offered something in uh, their 401k plans. And I really believe they're going to need way more information than they're going to get at the
Yeah.
workplace.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot more information than a lunch seminar while you're eating a bad turkey sandwich and the person's talking about the annuity choice inside of your 401k. I'm not a I understand the intentions are good with that, but boy, that is
Mm.
a messy, messy area, because what happens is, the financial services industry throws a reward around, they throw fiduciary around. And fiduciary, for what that really means, is the selling agent or advisor putting the client's best interest ahead of theirs. That should be a given. We don't need a plaque for that. If you're in the business, that should be what you do. But what I'm
Mm.
trying to say about and correlate that into the 401k, unless you're shopping all carriers for the highest contractual guarantee, then you can throw the fiduciary word out the window, which then you need to ask the board of directors, are you liable for that? If someone comes back and say, wait a minute, these big three companies were the only choices we had, but yet the guarantees they offered were significantly lower. There's some real time bombs in this thing. I mean, and I'm not sure, like you said, there needs to be a lot more education on it than just, hey, hip, hip, hooray, there's annuities in 401ks. No, no, no. It's a
Right.
lot bigger than that, especially if you're trying to protect the consumer.
Right. Right. So I want to keep this at I don't want to make it sound like this is a series of chapters with details. I mean, I want to make sure that people understand that the center of gravity of this book is using income generating annuities to
Mhm.
maximize and safetyize your income in retirement. And that's the everything points back, like every chapter, my evaluations of different methods and different distribution methods and different annuities all points, it's all has a magnetic north that points to, do they help or detract from your job of trying to make your retirement income safer and longer lasting? And that's the real, and I know that, and so I devote a lot of time in the books to income annuities and clearing up,
Good.
mistakes about
The
them that,
myths. Yeah. No,
and
it's perfect because we call it the income floor that
right,
combines with the best inflation annuity on the planet, Social Security. And if you're one of the less than 10% of the people that have a pension at your employer, you're stacking up income. And annuities are the only product category that pays for as long as you are breathing. So I'm glad you focused there, because people unfortunately equate or try to equate lifetime income transfer risk annuity payments to investments, and you can't.
yeah,
One's a
and then,
contract, one's an investment.
right. And now I do spend quite a bit of time trying to explain the guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit, because when that's the competitor to
Sure.
the income annuity, and I'm very hesitant about it because it's, I'm afraid that a lot of people are going to they're going to pay premiums for years and years for that protection and never use it.
Oh, no doubt. People are sold what's called, you and I both know, and for the listener viewer, the roll-up rate. And it's typically a high percentage that your income rolls, but that's a monopoly money. But people think they have Jimmy Carter interest. They don't. And so they just watch it, pay for it, pay for it, pay for it. I always say annuity companies have the big buildings for a reason. But you are correct, and I'm glad you dug in on what we call income riders, guaranteed withdrawal benefits, and there's numerous types, et cetera. As you know, my book on income riders is pretty thick because there's a lot, especially if you look at both variable and indexed offerings for income benefits, income riders, withdrawal benefits, lifetime income withdrawal benefits, however they want to phrase them. So I'm glad you stuck your foot in the ground and did that one, as well as dovetailing with your immediate annuity, deferred income annuity, QLACs. I had a question I wrote down for you that is something I wanted your opinion on. And by the way, we're talking to Kerry Pechter. He has the second version out of Annuities for Dummies. We'll have that link on our site and a permanent page about Kerry. I encourage you to go get it. Again, Annuities for Dummies on Amazon. If you own an annuity, thinking about an annuity, know someone that, or you're helping someone that's managing annuities, you need to have this book, no doubt. But the question I have for you, Kerry, is, do you see new product types in the future? Or do you think the annuity companies are just going to lock and load right here and feed into the demographic tidal wave of people looking for these what I call legacy products? Because the last new product was a QLAC, arguably in 2014. RILAs are offshoots of index annuities that were introduced in 1995. Do you see anything new? Are you hearing any whispers of new products?
Well, from the company's point of view, the
Yeah.
401k annuity and the pension risk transfer they're big new
Yeah,
products.
but they're just rehashing. I'm
You
actually,
mean on the retail,
yeah, that's what
individual
I'm
annuity?
hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping there's new things. Maybe not. I mean, but it's just hard for me to believe with the demographic tidal wave of money that companies aren't trying to do that. I know Moshe Molesky was mentioning some ideas, but they're ideas at this point. They're not.
Well, he probably talks about tontines and
Well,
getting,
he also talked about specific products also based on health that were a little bit more targeted. But it's
yes,
just hard for me to believe that with all this money coming, looking for guarantees, that aren't going to be new products. Maybe they're not. I don't know.
well,
Maybe someone out there.
a product that's two products that I really like that have not been pushed ever are, and we used to sell these at Vanguard, and I thought, why is everybody not buying this? I love this. And it was the variable income annuity.
Yeah.
And no one really markets that.
No.
And my friend Jeff Dellinger wrote a big fat book on the variable income annuity.
Mhm.
And and not that people should read that because it's a
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah,
expensive textbook.
I've read that. That's way too much. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but anyway, that's a terrific product, and it gives people equity upside exposure. And then also the other one was the fixed rate annuity with the long-term care
Yeah.
rider.
Which was a moment in time.
Yeah, and it was a moment that disappeared when interest rates went down. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking maybe if
Yeah, I agree.
because that's what you're doing there is you're just taking part of the revenue that you would have gotten on your
Mhm.
fixed rate annuity, and it's
Sure.
going towards long-term care dividends.
Mhm.
And also by promising to post the value of the annuity as the first dollar of your long-term care, like you will meet a deductible
Mhm.
for the long-term care insurance that's equal to the value of the annuity when you devote it. So if you don't get sick, you keep the annuity money, it stays in your
Sure.
family. And if you do get sick, then it has gone to the purpose of getting you much cheaper long-term care. And those two products, and why I don't think they're of interest to
The carriers.
the carriers because,
Correct.
and I don't think they're of interest to the private equity companies who own the publicly traded.
Definitely not of interest to them.
No,
Not at
because
all.
they do not want mortality risk.
No.
And so you have supply side and you have demand side issues here. And
Mhm.
on the supply side, you have a lack of appetite for these products because they don't pay very high commissions. They're not very high profit. They don't generate a lot of annual fees,
Mhm.
which is what the private publicly held companies are hungry for. These are mutual company probably products. And so we have you have maybe 5 or 6
Yeah. You have
mutual companies.
limited and their appetite for doing something new when they're making tons of money
Well, I don't
is
know what exactly happening at the mutual companies. They're always, they see the other companies and how they're making money, and they kind of, the Mass Mutual is now, in the Bermuda Triangle business. Fidelity is getting into the Bermuda Triangle business. So that's getting more mainstreamed.
Mhm.
You might see some of the other mutuals besides Mass Mutual
Sure.
going in. I mean, they're going to go, these are money-making enterprises.
Oh yeah.
Uh, the
They can't help themselves in a lot of cases.
Yeah, but let's keep this on the positive and talk about the income annuity, because I have some questions for you because I know you've
Yeah,
evaluated
we
it
got
very
about
much.
5 more minutes and we got to
Okay,
wrap this thing
let's
up.
talk about now. One of the misconceptions, I think, when people look at income annuities, they look at what the internal rate of return is on average,
Mm-hmm.
or that's what an advisor will say. Well, the internal rate of return is only 4%.
Garbage.
4% on this. I can get you 8% on the
Sure,
same.
sure. That's garbage,
And
and they know it. I always tell people there's no ROI until you die. You're transferring risk, and
right,
if you don't look at it as a transfer of risk, because people don't look at their Social Security payments and go, "Yeah, what's my ROI on that Social Security payment? What's my ROI on that pension from the company?" But somehow, when it comes to commercial annuities for lifetime income, they're digging in, and I'm like, you are missing the point, Chester. I mean, and
right,
I'm very,
right.
very upfront about that.
You can't see insurance. You buy insurance so that you take care of you get a risk off your plate
Hmm.
so that you can take risk in other ways. Like if you may say, I'm not traveling abroad because I might get sick and need a lot of it. You
Hmm.
buy the travel insurance. You're not trying to win on the travel
Yeah.
insurance. You're not trying to
If
make a profit on it.
you have fire insurance, car insurance, homeowner insurance, and lifetime income insurance falls right in there. It's just not marketed correctly. But
Right.
you're transferring risk to solve for lifetime income as long as you are breathing.
Yes, so that you can feel free to do other stuff.
Correct. And also
So
be a better investor with your non-annuity assets. If the
I mean,
income, if
exactly.
the income floor is in place,
Once it's in
ouch,
place, you
then
can.
go invest and be Gordon Gekko, because the bills are going to be paid and you get to do your thing. That's why I always tell people, use as little amount of money as humanly possible to solve for the goal with annuities. And please don't let anyone talk about inflation with you, because annuity companies don't give that away. You're already on the best one, which is Social Security. So solve for the goal. And because inflation is customizable and different for every single person, if you need additional money, then solve for that additional money need. It's real simple. Annuity solutions are very, very simple. Unfortunately, the industry and the agents make it difficult.
Okay, when you go to the Annuity Man site and run quotes, you will see that you get about the same quote for a life only, life with 10-year period certain, and life with cash refund. They'll be very close, and you'll get a little more, maybe $50 per 100,000 more from the life only. So do you know why those quotes are so close? Because it makes it a no-brainer to take the cash refund or the period certain.
Go ahead and explain it to the consumers. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know exactly why.
Well, I do know. When annuity companies offer quotes, and when you go to our site and run quotes for like immediate annuities, we list them all. We list life only, life with cash refund, life with 10, life with 20, period certain, so you can see how they price it. Annuity companies, they have a capacity issue, and they're trying to fill tranches on specific structures, whether it's life only or life with cash refund. There are times that companies want the life with cash refund structure so that they will price it either in line with the life only, or it'd be right the same. The other thing too is age. If you're in your 50s, whatever, a lot of the times the cash refund is the same amount as the life only. But what people need to understand is annuity quotes change like a gallon of milk every 7 to 10 days. The reason that it's important for us to quote all carriers is so that when carriers need to fill those tranches for those specific quote structures, then we have those people available. Because 1 week a life with cash refund with New York Life or whoever XYZ company will be higher, and then 2 weeks from now it won't be on the board. Why? Because they filled that tranche, and they don't have to have the guarantees as high to attract the consumer. That's the reason I always tell people, do not allow agents to just show one quote. Have them quote all carriers for the highest contractual guarantee, because it's like buying a plane ticket. Obviously, the apples to apples comparison is the claims paying ability and the ratings of the company. But other than that, it's really a commodity. So, Kerry, we got to close this thing up, and I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Once again, Kerry Pechter, new book out, Annuities for Dummy version 2. There will be a version 3 coming down the pike, but we'll have all of this on Kerry's page on my site. We'll have the link to the Amazon where you can buy it direct from Amazon, Annuities for Dummies. Kerry, thank you so much for joining me with Fun with Annuities. Any last comments?
Please buy the book. You will not regret it. It's a book for retirement income planning with annuities. It's not just talking about annuities because they're they're important. I don't think anybody who's preparing for retirement in America who's not fabulously wealthy, everyone should get this book.
I agree. Everybody, Warren Buffett needs it. Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. Well, listen, everyone, thanks so much for joining us on all major platforms in the Fun with Annuities YouTube channel. My name is Stan, the Annuity Man, America's Annuity Agent. I will see you next time.